I think we got a heck of a shot of winning. We can beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
David Wells has pitched a perfect game. 27 up, 27 down. Baseball immortality for David Wells.
And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2. Bates against Joseph. Bates in on goal. Defend Metro! And the Rangers have one more hell of a time, baby!
This is the Cross Island Sports Network, where iconic moments get iconic coverage.
You are listening to
the Cross Island Podcast. Action! Hosted by Lyle and Errol Marks.
Welcome to a new show of the Cross Island Podcast. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host and other host, Lyle Gillian. What's up, Lyle? I haven't seen you in a while. Are you hiding under your bed or something?
Oh yeah, well, that's where all the monsters hide. That's where I'm perfect down there.
I mean, there's a lot of monsters. I mean, remember Little Monsters with Fred Savage? One of my all-time favorite movies, actually.
I do very little bit, yeah. You
don't remember that movie? I mean,
very little.
Harry Menzel, Howard. Is it Howard Menzel? Menzel, that's what his name was. Yeah, he's on what is it? It's not The Voice. What's that friggin' show called? I don't know. It's something on Channel 5. But I do see, it just shows you how much I watch television. But very happy to be here. We got a lot to get into as the New York Jets make a trade over the last couple of days. Add a defensive lineman, a linebacker who can get at the quarterback, and Hassan Reddick. A team now that's loaded on the defensive side of the ball. And they've always been loaded. And Robert Saleh adds another pass rusher to the line. What do they do with Will McDonald? So we will get into that. We will also get into the beginning of the baseball season as the Yankees are 4-0. They sweep the Houston Astros, which I said it, and I'm going to say it again. The Yankees are going to win the American League East this year. I think the lineup is as good as any lineup in baseball, and they have more depth, especially on the left-handed side, that they've ever had since the 90s Yankees. So I think the Yankees have a very good chance with the power in their lineup and the ability that they have at the plate where they could be a very, very dangerous team moving forward. And Carlos Rodon wins his first game of the season. So that's applaud. Let's applaud for him. All right. So we will get into the Yankees. We'll get into the Mets as the Mets hope they can win over 80 games. We will see, as the Met fans are praying that they get over 80 games this year. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they want a higher draft pick, or maybe they just want to have a bad season so next year they can overload with contracts. So we will get into that as well. We will also get into what else did you want to get into? I'm sorry. We wanted to get into the Jets, the draft. You wanted to get into the draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. not going through with his pro day. What does this do to him in the draft? Does he fall? Does he fall to the Giants at 6? A lot of questions there. Maybe this is the game plan. Maybe he wants to do the Eli Manning move, and not having a pro day kind of waves some of those teams in front of the Giants off. The Commanders, who are looking to trade out of that pick, the Patriots that are looking to trade out of their pick. Also, do the Chargers draft a wide receiver at 5 after losing Mike Williams to the New York Jets? So a lot to get into.
Keenan Allen.
I'm sorry?
And Allen, too.
Well, Keenan Allen, yes, he had a great season, but obviously over age. He was traded to the Chicago Bears.
Two of the top 2 receivers that are gone now.
Well, I think Jim Harbaugh, he wants to bring his own receivers. He wants to bring, his own guys in there. And I expect Jim Harbaugh to maybe even trade out of that 5th spot and try to rebuild through the draft. But we will definitely have the opportunity to see that in the next couple of weeks. Actually, it's April 27th. So 26 days from now, the NFL draft will be here. So I'm interested to see what the Giants do and the Jets do. The Jets still hold the number 10 pick. Do they do they go after Brock Bowers, which
I think that's the move that's looking likely more and more every day.
I don't want it, but I will get into that a little bit later. But there's a lot of places the Jets could fill in at number 10. I mean, I would re-up on that offensive line, bring in some young talent. I think that's where the Jets should go. I mean, yes, they bring in Byron Smith, and I like it. I like John Simpson. I like Morgan Moses. But again, this is an offensive line that's been depleted over the last couple of years. 14 offensive line changes over the last 2 seasons. The Jets can't stay healthy on the offensive line.
Those additions were short-term fixes, and then Smith is a guy who you can't really. If you go into the season relying on him to be your left tackle for the entire year, and you're going to have to be cautious because he most likely won't play all 17.
So let's get into the Jets because the Jets have been the big story over the last couple of days. Adding Mike Williams was a huge move for the New York Jets. They needed to add that second wide receiver to help out Garrett Wilson, take away those double teams, get him into places where he can create space, where he could be the dominant force that he was his rookie season. And he even was pretty good last year with you had 4 quarterbacks playing at the position. If you look at where the Jets have been over the last 2 seasons, the fact that Garrett Wilson had over 1,000 back-to-back yard seasons and even had half the season that he had this year says a lot about the talent he is. But that's what worries me because Garrett Wilson has been fairly healthy over the last 2 seasons. And now you're going into the season where you're getting Aaron Rodgers back, and now you're looking at this team that could be loaded offensively. And now it's the Jets' luck that Garrett Wilson will go down for the season. That's just the Jets' luck. So I hope it doesn't happen. But let's get into the Hassan Reddick move because I was very surprised that the Jets would make a move like this. And they didn't have to give up much. They give a conditional 3rd-round pick in 2025, I think it is. I think 2025 or 26. I think it was the 25 season. And the thing is, it could turn into a second-round draft pick, depending on if Hassan Reddick plays, I think, 67% of the snaps. And he gets over a certain amount of sacks. And listen, I think he is an absolute upgrade over Bryce Huff, and I'll tell you why. I think Huff was a good player, I really do, but he was a 3rd down player. And Hassan Reddick plays every down. He's an every down type of back, a linebacker who can get at the quarterback in many different ways. Last year, he had 11 sacks. He didn't even have one of his best seasons. This guy's a 2-time All-Pro player. He was the heart and soul of this defense when they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Well, we're going to really see this year because the Eagles are going to use Bryce Huff as an every down player, which he was not used as on the Jets, like you mentioned. So this year we'll find out who is better because they're both going to play every down. But I think right now the Jets going into the season are definitely the much better team compared to where they were at the offseason. At the start of the offseason. I think they're much better now.
As far as talent is concerned, the Jets probably are the most talented team right now in the AFC. When you look at the additions that they had, they needed to clean up that offensive line. They did it. Is Elijah Vera-Tucker going to stay healthy this year? This is going into he's going into, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is his 4th year, and next year will be his 5th year as a 1st-round draft pick. The question is, are the Jets going to give him his 5th-year option? That is the question. Now, the guy has been hurt 2 out of the last 3 years, pec injury and a torn Achilles. When he is on the field, he's one of the best offensive linemen in football, one of the best guards. Even when he played right tackle and even left tackle at some points over the last 2 seasons, he's been as good as anybody in the league. The problem right now is the Jets have been injury prone for a very, very long time. This has been Joe Douglas's, problem over the last couple of years. No depth on the offensive side of the ball, and they have had problems punching the ball in. Now, Breece Hall is coming off his second full season, 100% healthy. I expect him to have a
Well,
great
it's his first full season, technically.
Well,
because he didn't play the first full year. So it's really only one full year that he's played.
But I think that he played the majority of the games last year. So this is his second full season where I think that he is going to get a chance to really explode with the offensive line acquisitions in John Simpson and Morgan Moses, two very good run and go offensive linemen. John Simpson, who's one of the top 10 guards right now when it comes to running the ball in the league last year. He was fantastic. A guy, an addition that the Ravens added about a couple of years ago, and even John Harbaugh spoke very highly of Simpson, his growth as a player after they brought him to the team. And then Morgan Moses, who was only here with the Jets for 1 year in 15 games, played very well for the Jets. He stays fairly healthy. He doesn't really get hurt. He plays the majority of the games. That's consistency. That's something that the Jets need. And Byron Smith last year played 13 out of the 17 games. So if he can stay healthy, he's one of the best left tackles in football. But adding Hassan Reddick to that defensive line with Quinnen Williams, and now you have Johnson, and you have all these pieces that they have, especially one of the best secondaries in football, C.J. Mosley, one of the best linebackers in football, one of the best leaders in football. And then their all-pro player, Quincy Williams, who had a fantastic year last year with the explosion that he gave the New York Jets. I was so impressed with Quincy Williams as well. So I was so excited when I heard Hassan Reddick was going to be a New York Jet. Now, we will have to see.
What he also does is takes more pressure off of Quinnen Williams, because last year they were double teaming him on the line. So
they
now
always double team.
Yeah, but now it forces them to have to put more attention to Hassan Reddick every single down, which could also cause more production from Quinnen Williams, because he might have more room, more ability to do anything. Because if you double team, you can't double team both of them. So they're going to have to pick one, and whichever one isn't double teamed, they're going to be more explosive. So I think it's going to really put teams in a very difficult position.
I think also losing a guy like Bryce Huff, a lot of Jet fans were attacking Joe Douglas on social media, not liking the fact that they let a guy go who's only going to be making $16 to $17 million this coming year. He was one of the better pass rushers in the league when you look at statistics and PFF. I mean, you look at everything that he did last year, he was a consistent player on the defensive side of the ball for the New York Jets. And now that he went to the Eagles, and Hassan Reddick was not getting along with somebody in that locker room, because the Eagles having Bryce Huff on one side and then obviously Hassan Reddick on the other, that would have been an explosive defense that could get at the quarterback. So I was shocked that Hassan Reddick, but by the way, out of all the teams that they could have traded him to, I never would have thought in my wildest dreams it would have been the New York Jets.
I think it was two things I think about this move. One, I don't think it was something that was in the works for a while. They just had Jadeveon Clowney come in, and I feel like they wouldn't have done that if they knew that this was potentially happening. And two, I believe it was a cap move. If I remember seeing correctly, they needed to dump cap.
I don't know if it was a cap move for the Jets or for the Eagles.
Eagles.
Here's the thing. The Jets took over $21 million, and they're going to have to pay Hassan Reddick $21 million this coming year. And that means Franklin Myers could be the odd man out, because he's the guy that the Jets paid a couple of years ago, really hasn't produced.
The only thing he has produced is roughing the passer calls.
Yeah, well, he's been in trouble quite a few times with the referees, especially against the Patriots. For some reason, he gets these passing interference calls against the New England Patriots. But I think adding Hassan Reddick gives them that depth that the Jets need. They haven't had a pass rusher as good as Hassan Reddick since John Abraham. Now, we'll see if the Jets can extend him. I don't know if they're going to extend him. I think this is a 1 year rental for the Jets, and the Jets are taking a chance with him because of the fact that this is a win now team. I think that going into the offseason, the Jets, especially Joe Douglas, he could be looking for a new job at the end of this coming season if they don't produce a playoff opportunity. And Robert Saleh's he's definitely on the hot seat. There's quite a few.
The report was when he got traded was that the Jets were going to try and re-sign him. Yes,
but they're going into a season where they're paying Aaron Rodgers a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
They also are going into another season where they got to decide what they're doing with Elijah Vera-Tucker at the end of this year. Garrett Wilson's going to want to be paid in the next year or so, especially if he puts up the numbers that a lot of people believe he's going to put up this year with Aaron Rodgers. And Sauce Gardner, who's the last 2 seasons, he's been everything that everybody expected him to be. He's a top 3 corner in the league, and he's a shutdown corner. So the Jets are going to have to make decisions. I mean, C.J. Mosley took a $6 million pay cut because obviously the Jets were trying to get better this offseason, and they have a lot of money invested into Aaron Rodgers and certain pieces. Quinn Williams, which they extended last year as well. So, and Quincy Williams, who they gave a 3-year deal to. So, and by the way, was a steal right now. If you look at the 3-year deal that they gave Quincy Williams, he was an absolute steal, getting his first All-Pro nod. I mean, what a find by Joe Douglas. You
Big time. I was just about to say that when you were done talking, and you read my mind.
Yeah, it was a wonderful find. Now, obviously, he was trying to make Quinn Williams happy. Yeah. And Quinn Williams didn't have the year that everybody expected, especially the year before, where he was an All-Pro player. Now he did make the Pro Bowl, but I believe the Pro Bowl is a fan pick'em, opportunity. Being selected to an All-Pro team is bigger and better. I mean, Quincy Williams didn't even make the Pro Bowl, but he was an All-Pro player. He should have been in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
but he's not a fan favorite.
That's a fair point.
I mean, Johnson made his first Pro Bowl this past year, and the Jets are loaded. The Jets are going to be loaded going into the season. The question is, are they going to be able to keep Aaron Rodgers safe? Are they going to have enough now offensively that they're going to give guys like Garrett Wilson an opportunity to be the route runner that everybody believes he is? I think he's one of the top 3 route runners in the league. Mike Williams is a great addition, but could Mike Williams stay healthy? That's the question. Mike Williams hasn't played in a year. Mm-hmm. So he got hurt early in the season last year. I think it was
4 games.
Yeah, week 3 or week 4 he got hurt. Yeah. And we don't know if he's starting the season.
He said he'll be okay for the start of the season. I think that it'll be kind of like Breece Hall, where the first couple games he would Breece Hall was eased in. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be similar with Mike Williams. I think he'll get eased in and then he'll come right back out. And I think once he's playing every down, he'll be.
No, again, the Jets are now looking towards the draft. And now with adding that linebacker, adding that pass rusher. Now, the Jets were not drafting a pass rusher in the first round. They were going offense. And if I were the Jets, I'd go offense throughout this draft. Now, they don't have a second-round draft pick. Maybe the Jets trade out at number 10. Maybe they move down. They could still get the player that they want, get back that second-round draft pick, which they gave to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers didn't play 65% of the snaps, they keep their first-round draft pick, which is huge for the New York Jets. And now the Jets can add to their talent of their team. Now, the Jets right now on paper, I don't care what anybody says. This has nothing to do with being a Jet fan. The Jets have more talent on their roster than any team in football right now.
I agree.
From top to bottom. If you look at their punter was an All-Pro punter last year, a Pro Bowl player. I mean, their kicker was one of the best kickers in football. They gave him a 2-year extension. Mm-hmm. So I think what the Jets are trying to do, and Aaron Rodgers coming out and saying that he wants to play another 4 years going to the season says a lot about what he thinks this team could be and how many championships he believes that he can win with this team if they have the right ingredients. Now, the offensive line was definitely the most important thing. Hassan Reddick was definitely the salt and pepper of the moves that they made so far this offseason. I think it was all about beefing up the offensive line, getting rid of Mekhi Becton. That was something that they definitely needed to do. I don't know where he went. Did he go to the Bengals? I'm not sure.
I don't think he went anywhere.
I know he interviewed. I know he went over to Carolina. I know he checked out the Cincinnati Bengals. But I think right now, and I told everybody they were only going to keep Tippmann and they were only going to keep Elijah Vera Tucker. Now, this is a make or break year for Elijah Vera Tucker. If Elijah Vera Tucker can't stay healthy this year, he's going to be gone. No matter how good he is, the Jets are not going to give him that fifth-year option. There's no reason to keep a guy that can't stay healthy, no matter how good he is. And if you look at what his numbers are when he's on the field, he's an all-pro player.
Oh, 100%.
He is an all-pro player. The guy just can't get through the season.
Becton visited with the Bengals, but he has not gone anywhere yet.
All right, well, he'll sign with somebody. More than likely.
I think he'll sign somewhere in training camp and battle for a backup spot somewhere. That's probably the best that he can do right now.
I mean, and adding Byron Smith is the biggest move this offseason for the New York Jets, because when Byron Smith is on and he's 100% healthy, he's one of the top 5 left tackles in football. He's a Hall of Famer. When he's done with football, he's been one of the best left tackles in the last decade. He's been everything to that offensive line for the Cowboys. He really has been besides Zach Martin, he's been the big dog of that offensive line. Now, Zach Martin obviously is the best offensive lineman on that line. Zach Martin right now, if he were to retire today, he's probably a Hall of Famer. But what I have seen right now this offseason is Joe Douglas has lived up to what he said he was going to do. He was going to beef up. He was going to add veterans to that offensive line. He was going to get another weapon in here to help Garrett Wilson out on the other side. They're trying to trade Alan Lazard. It doesn't look like they're going to move Alan Lazard, because I don't think anybody's going to want that contract. He's making $11 million.
See, here's the thing about right now with the Jets and the offensive line. He did what he hasn't done in a year. Joe Douglas. He went out there and he improved every single offensive line position that they had to do. They got Tyrone Smith, they got Simpson, they got Moses, all 3 guys who are an upgrade over what they had before.
Big up.
Now, here's the thing. If they get injured and that spirals out the entire year, you can't blame him again.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. He's on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat, boy.
No, you can't do that. You can't blame the GM for guys just getting hurt.
Well, that's why you give him depth. That's why you don't go after Brock Bowers.
See, yes, he will. He left get depth. He probably will get depth. I don't think he's done yet. But we'll see. And it doesn't matter, because the last few years, no matter who he got as depth, they all got injured.
But here's the problem. And this is something that you need to understand, Lyle. You don't have youth on the bench. Now, Tippmann is your starter. He's the youngest guy in your offensive line. And then there's Elijah Vera Tucker, okay, who can't stay healthy. They need to add more youth to this line. And everybody keeps saying Brock Bowers. Well, they have Jeremy Rucker, who's still there. And he's a Lindenhurst graduate from high school over here. He played for Ohio State. Why haven't the Jets used him last year? They should be using him. They have Conklin still there. Now, why would they bring in Brock Bowers? Now, I understand he could change everything offensively. He's another big wide receiver that can run routes, catch the ball. That's, to me, he's not a player that I think the Jets need to go after in the draft. I think they need to find a tackle that can learn behind Byron Smith. If Byron Smith gets hurt, or even Morgan Moses, or even John Simpson, or Elijah Vera Tucker, you can push and put this kid into those positions where he can learn through, some of the veteran players that they have. I just think to go at 10 and draft a Brock Bowers, I think it's a big mistake. Tight ends drafted early, that early, usually don't work. Now, Kyle Pitts, I love Kyle Pitts. They haven't used him enough, and Atlanta didn't use him right. I'd like to see what Atlanta's going to do this year.
We'll see with him with a better offense right now.
Well, we don't know. No, actually, I believe their coach was a better offensive coordinator than the coach that they're bringing in right now. But I also believe that drafting a tight end that early is crazy. Just like drafting a running back, in the top 10 is a little crazy. So I'm not saying Brock Bowers isn't going to be great. Maybe he is another Travis Kelce. But Travis Kelce wasn't a first-round draft pick.
See, here's the thing. There are so many tight ends right now that are defining major offenses in the NFL. And the NFL is a copycat league. You look at what Detroit did. Their tight end defined their offense. It was biggest piece of that team. You have Travis Kelce. There are that even goes back to what the Patriots did when they had the Aaron Hernandez and they had Gronkowski out there. So many major offenses right now have a weapon at tight end.
No.
And I think that
the Jets have a weapon
at tight end.
There's a weapon.
I think he's a guy who's very good.
How much better do you think Brock Bowers is going to be this year?
This year, probably not much better, maybe about the same. But I think that the ceiling of Conklin in the next couple of years is way lower than the ceiling of Brock Bowers.
Of course, because Bowers is a young guy. Everybody's coming from Georgia. He was the best tight end in the country. Mm-hmm. Some people say he's the best tight end they've seen come out of the draft in over 10 years.
So I don't see why you wouldn't want to draft him and have
because you need offensive line help.
I 100% agree with that. But if Alt and the guy from Penn State are both gone,
I don't think those. First of all, I think Alt's the best offensive lineman in this draft.
Yeah,
I don't think the Penn State kid. I can't pronounce his name, so
I can't either.
But a lot of people say he's falling. I like the kid from Oregon State. I think that's where the Jets should go. I would trade out of that number 10 pick because their team's looking for quarterbacks.
I think those are both very good options of trading out and getting the kid from Oregon State at a couple more picks down, or drafting Brock Bowers. I think those are probably the two most likely situations.
I don't think Brock Bowers is going to be there at 10. I think there'll be teams trading up. I don't. I think there'll be teams trading up.
Let's go with every pick right now. Okay.
Brock Bowers hasn't even had his pro day yet.
Okay, you have the Bears 1. Mm-hmm. They're taking Caleb Williams.
No question.
Now, let's say that if the Commanders keep the pick at 2, the reports where they want a mobile quarterback, that's going to be Daniels. That's every single mock draft has them taking him at 2. Then you have 3, let's say Drake May. That's kind of like the consensus 1, 2, 3 right now.
Yeah.
Now, 4. You're going to say Neighbors. Now, I'm going to say right now, because a lot of people think that the Chargers could trade out of that pick. But if Marvin Harrison falls to 5, I don't think they're trading that pick at all. I think they're taking him.
I don't believe the Chargers are going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
You really think that they're going to let him go?
Yes, because I right now they need to rebuild that offensive line. I think Alt sitting there at number 5 would be a better option for them. And that's something that Jim Harbaugh likes to do.
I think that's very possible too.
I think Marvin Harrison is going to be sitting pretty for the New York Giants.
See, I think the Giants are taking McCarthy from Michigan.
I don't. I
very much do.
You're going to tell me that if Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting there at 6, they're not drafting him. There's no way they're drafting JJ McCarthy.
First off, I don't think that Marvin Harrison's going past.
You just said it.
I don't think he's going past the Cardinals. Not the Cardinals, the Chargers. I don't think Marvin Harrison is.
They're going offensive line. They're going offensive line, 100%.
Listen, you let your top 2 receivers leave, then you have a generational talent right there like that. I think that's just too much to pass up.
There is a couple of generational type of wide receivers in this class. Odunze is going to be great.
But you know what? I don't think any of them get past 9.
I'm not saying that he is. I think Marvin Harrison's going to fall to the Giants. He didn't have a pro day. Arizona's not drafting him now that he didn't have a pro day.
I don't understand that at all. Why guys choose not to have pro days?
I'm going to tell you why he did that. I'm going to tell you why he did that.
Sure.
He does not want to play for any of those teams in the top 5. He doesn't want to play for any of them. He doesn't want to play for Arizona.
Why would you not want to play for the Chargers with
Justin Herbert?
Justin Herbert as your quarterback. Why would you not want
maybe he doesn't want to play for Jim Harbaugh. Maybe his father, Marvin Harrison Sr., told his son, I don't want you playing for him. Maybe that. I don't. Why would you want to go out of both LA teams? Who would you rather play for? The LA Rams or the LA Chargers?
Oh, the Rams, 100%. But you know what? I think if you're a young wide receiver, why would you not want to have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL thrown to you?
Because
that's the best situation out of the entire top 10, in my opinion.
Because I think Jim Harbaugh is the type of guy that's going to try to boost up that offensive line. And Alt sitting there at 5, who is a great left tackle and the best left tackle in this class. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If Alt falls past 5, the Giants would be stupid not to draft him. They'd be stupid not to draft him.
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, so he could be a generational type of left tackle talent. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I think that Marvin Harrison will fall out at number 6. I think the Giants are going to draft him. I think the Giants are going to get lucky.
So if they have Alt and Marvin Harrison there, you think they're taking Harrison?
I'm sorry?
If they have Alt and Marvin Harrison there,
yes. Harrison.
Okay.
100%.
So I think Tennessee, there is no chance that they don't take. Someone in the top 10 is taking McCarthy. He has all the hype right now. I don't think he deserves it. But out of anybody in
why would Tennessee have that when they drafted a quarterback in the 2nd round a year ago? Who played well? Who played well?
Who they draft?
I'm going to give you a hint because you're a little lost. He was a 1st round talent. Okay.
Tennessee?
Yes. Take a guess. I'm giving you a chance. I mean, you don't know who the Tennessee Titans quarterback is.
I honestly cannot.
Will Levis.
Oh.
Okay. And Will Levis played well last year when he came in. And I don't see Tennessee drafting a quarterback. So I think Will Levis is their starting quarterback. They brought in Calvin Ridley. They have DeAndre Hopkins there. They're trying to win this year. They brought L'Jarius Sneed. Tennessee, they absolutely boosted their team up in the offseason. They've added some good pieces to a team. And Will Levis, I think he could be the quarterback of the future for Tennessee. He played very well. I like his ability. Reminds me of a lesser Josh Allen. I think the way he plays.
Who do you think who's number 8, by the way?
What happened?
Who has pick 8?
I
know 9 is the Bears.
Is it Atlanta?
Could be Atlanta.
I think it's
They're not taking a quarterback.
No, they're going to go. I think I could see Atlanta going defense.
Yeah, they are. That makes the most sense. You know what? What I also you know what? Then honestly, the option of trading back a couple picks for the Jets is probably the best move.
Listen.
That's very likely at 10 because McCarthy could be there, and then there's a couple teams in the next few picks after the Jets that all need quarterbacks. I think someone could trade there, maybe trade down to 12.
Atlanta's number 8. Chicago's number 9 again. So
and
Chicago,
Vikings have 11, right?
Yes, and Chicago just brought in Keenan Allen, so they're not going after a wide receiver. They don't need another.
No, they're probably going to take another maybe an offensive lineman, I think.
And that's why I think the Giants are going to be sitting pretty, because if Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to the Giants at 6, Tennessee doesn't need a wide receiver. Atlanta don't need a wide receiver. Chicago don't need a wide receiver. Odunze could be there for the Jets at number 10 if they really want to draft them. And then they have a guy for the future. Mike Williams is only going to be there for a year. After a year, if he has a good season with Aaron Rodgers, he's going to want a big time extension. He's 30. He's going to be 31 next season. So he's going to want at least 3-4 years. The Jets aren't going to be able to pay him because they're going to have to pay Garrett Wilson. So they're not going to be able to pay him. So maybe bringing a Dunze in, if he's there at 10, I think the Jets should draft him.
I think that's all. I think the Jets have so many different options that they could go in, like Brock Bowers trading back and getting the kid from Oregon State and getting a 2nd round pick, taking Odunze. If they honestly really even wanted to, but I don't think they will ever, they could go defense. But
here's my prediction: Chicago's going to draft a quarterback at 1. We all know.
Yeah.
Washington is not trading out of that number 2 pick.
No.
They're drafting a quarterback. New England, even though they're saying they're trading out of that pick, they're not trading out of that pick.
Not.
They're drafting a quarterback. They're trying to say that because they know that if May is sitting there, Drake May is sitting there, that's the quarterback they want. Okay. Yeah. Arizona is going. I thought they were going to go offensive line, maybe defense, but they're going for a wide receiver. I think Malik Neighbors is going to them, so they're going wide receiver. Los Angeles,
I fully agree with you because Neighbors definitely has. I always look at when I go in draft, looking at the draft, guys who have hype because teams will always take them.
He's great. Neighbors was the best.
And I think Neighbors, you're hearing his name a lot more often right now in positive talk than you are from Marvin Harrison in positive talk.
Because Marvin
exactly.
Harrison,
you're exactly what you were about to say. 2, everyone knows what Marvin Harrison can do. His name has been said so many times in the last year plus that they don't need to say what else he can do. So now you hear Neighbors a lot more often, especially when he just had the 40-yard dash that he did. And then you're gonna put that there. He has more momentum right now. So I do agree that Neighbors is gonna go for.
Los Angeles is going offensive line. I absolutely believe that. That's where they're going. Either trading out of that pick or going off. Maybe Brock Bowers. I've heard rumors Brock Bowers is somebody that they're intrigued with. They're not going wide receiver at 5 no matter what. They're going offensive line, Brock Bowers, or they're trading out of that pick. Number 6, and I'm going to tell you this right now. If Marvin Harrison's at 5, I could see the Giants just jumping up at 5 just to get Marvin Harrison. I could see them just jumping and giving up one of their second-round draft picks to get him. So actually, did they trade that? No, they traded their second-round draft pick for Carolina.
But I don't think they need to.
I'm sorry?
I don't think they need to trade up.
They're going to have to move up one spot to get Marvin Harrison?
I don't think they need to.
What do you mean?
Because the only way the Chargers are going to trade that pick is if they're trading it to a quarterback needy team. Otherwise, they're going to keep it for a position of need, which is going to be.
I'm saying that Marvin Harrison is probably. I'm telling you right now. Mark my words. If Arizona don't draft Marvin Harrison Jr., he's a Giant. He's a Giant. He's going to be a Giant, and I think the Giants are going to have.
Agree.
They're going to have the steal of the draft. And the Giants are going to get the wide receiver that they're going to be able to build with for the next 10 years. This guy is a breakout.
They're just going to need a quarterback
type of player. Daniel Jones could.
He sucks. He sucks.
Tell me the wide receiver they've had. Who's he thrown to over the last couple of years?
I don't care. He sucks.
No, he doesn't.
He's horrible.
Who doesn't?
And they're going to have no offensive line again. And then they're going to have this fucking idiot as the quarterback. And he's going to get killed again. And then you're going to have Marvin Harrison throwing a hissy fits on the sideline because no one can throw him the football.
Tennessee is probably going, I would see Tennessee going either offensive line or defensive line. Atlanta, same thing. Offensive line, defensive line. I think they go that. Chicago's interesting because
different things.
I could see Chicago trading out of that pick. Yeah, if somebody wants a Dunze, because they're not going to be bringing in another wide receiver. I can't see them doing that. I could see Chicago trading out of that pick and getting multiple picks for that 9th pick. And the Jets, they could go multiple ways. I think they should go offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. My feeling to this is that if Brock Bowers is sitting there, they're going to draft him. And I think the Jets are making a mistake. I'm not saying Brock Bowers can't be great.
I think that you have Brock Bowers there. I think there's more potential for Brock Bowers to be a massive player with Aaron Rodgers than Ty Conklin. Now, I'm not sure how good of a blocker Brock Bowers is.
He's not a bad blocker. He's not a great blocker.
So Conklin could have him edged out in that category because Conklin's pretty good in that area.
I mean, I looked at his weaknesses and his strengths. He's an unbelievable talent. He's an athletically gifted player. The question is he going to turn into being that superstar player that everybody thinks he's going to be? And a lot of these tight ends, they get drafted in the first round, and I'll mention him again, O.J. Howard, who came from Alabama, won a national championship. He was everything. Everybody says he's the next big superstar in the league. He gets drafted by Tampa. He falls in the draft. He had a great combine. He had a great pro day, and he was in the NFL for like 2 or 3 years. The guy was no good. So I'm not saying Brock Bowers is that type of player, but it scares me to draft a tight end that high. Minnesota is probably going quarterback at 11.
Yeah. Well, I hear this. So
Denver's going to go quarterback too.
They are, but 12 is Denver, right? And then 11 is Minnesota.
Yes, both of them. Both of them.
One of those teams is going to trade with the Jets. Because if McCarthy is there, they're going to sit there and be like, okay, we want him, and the other team is going to take him if we don't. One of those teams are going to switch. Jets will get their second-round pick, and they're going to end up being able to.
I could see the Jets trading with Vegas. I could see that.
What pick are they?
Number 13.
I can picture that. That's still a range where you can sit there and look at, you know what? If Brock Bowers is there at 10, the teams after that, he could still be there at 13. But you know what else who will also be there at 13? The right tackle from Oregon State.
Yes, I think he's going to fall. I think he's going to fall. And that's why I think the Jets should trade out of that pick and get back their second-round pick.
Yeah.
I think if they drop 3 spots, they drop from 10, 11, 12, 13, they could still get the player that they want. They get back their second-round draft pick that they lost, and they're put in a better position. That's what Joe Douglas wants to do. He wants to add talent. As good as Brock Bowers is, and now I'm going to say this. If Alt's still sitting there at 10, the Jets are drafting.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
If Alt is sitting there, I don't think he is, but if Alt's still sitting there, the Jets are drafting.
If he's there at 9, the Bears are going to take him.
Yes. I still think the Bears are going to trade out of that pick.
I think if Alt is there, though, they're stupid to do that. Stupid. If you have a guy like Alt there, the best tackle in the draft, and when you had an issue on the offensive line last year, you're idiotic to not take him and build around. That helps build around a quarterback that you just took first overall that you're going to be investing so much money in. Draft that left tackle, protect him.
All right, and before we go, I want to get into early baseball season, and I'm going to tell you this. We're going to go through the MLB on Wednesday. I think me and Speedy are going to, and the team, we're going to go through our thoughts and our predictions to what's going to happen this MLB season. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I told everybody I think the Yankees are winning the American League East. I believe the Yankees
I can believe that.
win the American League East. Their lineup is loaded.
But here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends, I think, on what happens with Garrett Cole.
I don't think so. I think their bullpen has proven to be a good bullpen. They haven't given up one run. Their bullpen has not given up one run.
4 games so far?
That's pretty good.
I think
everybody that said this bullpen, they lost Peralta. They lost a lot of pieces to their bullpen in the offseason. They have all these young guys, and they're showing up in these games against one of the best teams in the MLB.
I think that the bullpen isn't the question, though. If you lose your defending Cy Young winning ace, that's a huge loss. And I just would not be sitting here. I think it'll be a battle. I think it'll be a much tougher battle.
Garrett Cole is fine. Okay,
it all depends on how they what happens after he comes back from the DL. He can come back for a little bit, play for a little, and then if that arm gets hurt, he's done.
If he comes back, he gets hurt. He comes back before the All-Star break or after the All-Star break. The trade deadline's right around the corner. The Yankees will make a move and they'll bring in another pitcher.
Who's available?
There'll be people available. There'll be players available. Teams are going to fall out, and
you want Patrick Corbin?
I'm sorry.
You want Patrick Corbin? You can take him.
I don't know who's going to be available. There might be great. I mean,
I'll give you Patrick Corbin. Take Patrick Corbin. You don't even have to give me anything. Just take him.
Right,
My gift to you, a free Patrick Corbin.
All right. I know you're a National fan. I don't care. I could care less if the Yankees get Patrick Corbin or not.
He's dog shit.
All right.
He is like dog shit with dog shit on top of it.
Then why would the Yankees bring him in? I mean,
I was being sarcastic.
I mean, we don't know.
Take him away from
Obviously, people like Baltimore in this division. I think Baltimore is not as good as everybody thinks they're going to be this year. Now, obviously, they won 100 games last year, and they're a better team. They added Corbin Burns in the offseason. That's great. But this is a young roster. They're going to bring up Jack Holiday one way or another this year. They're a loaded lineup too. But again, this is the sophomore jitters. Last year, they proved themselves to be a playoff team. They fell off. They lost against Texas in the wild card game. Okay. They're going into a season where everybody's expecting them to win the American League East. They have the Yankees that are much better than they were last year. They had a left-handed power. They added Verdugo. You could see their lineup is completely different with Verdugo and Soto in that lineup.
Yep.
So, and they're dangerous. And Giancarlo Stanton looks healthy. He's actually hitting the ball right now. And they're to me, if Carlos Rodon is just a 13, 14 game winner this year, which I think he will be, and Marcus Stroman is a 12-game winner, Nasty Nestor Cortez wins 11 or 12 games, and then Schmidt wins 10 games. If they're getting consistency from those pitchers, no matter who they bring in, or if Garrett Cole's 100% or nothing, they're still going to win 95 to 98 games. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I think and I don't know exactly. I don't know what my numbers are going to be. I think the Yankees are winning more than 95 games. A lot of people think they're a 90, 91 win team. I think they're better than that. I think it's hilarious how people are looking at the Yankees, and they do this every year. Oh, this pitching staff's not that good. Their pitching staff is as good as any team and pitching staff in their division. Okay, Baltimore has a bunch of young guys, and they have Corbin Burns. When the Yankees have Garrett Cole, they have a success. Marcus Stroman, in the first half last year, he was an all-star. The Cubs used him too many innings. If the Yankees don't push him, he's a Nestor Cortez. Now, obviously, he's a shell of what he was a couple of years ago when he was an all-star. I think if Nestor wins 12 games this year, he's another lefty that the Yankees could keep in that pitching staff. The Yankees could go righty-lefty, righty-lefty, or they could go lefty-righty, lefty-righty. And the Yankees haven't had that since the 90 Yankees, since I think it was 97 or 98 when the Yankees had righty-lefty, righty-lefty. They had David Wells. They had Roger Clemens. They had Jimmy Key. They had all these other guys, and I think the Yankees now are more and very well diverse when it comes to their pitching staff. So I like what the Yankees have done. Okay, I really, really do. And I the fact that, I listened to Josh Silverberg and how he rated the Yankees, and even Eric Bowe, who's a Yankee fan, saying that he says the Yankees are going to be a wild card team. How could you say the Yankees are going to be a wild card team when their lineup is by far the best lineup, I think, in the American League? They're by far the best lineup in the American League.
I definitely think that they're going to compete for the division. I think you're right there.
They're winning the division.
I think the question relies on, one, Garrett Cole, the seriousness of his injury. Two, like you mentioned with the Orioles, it depends on what they're going to do. They could have a sophomore slump season and not do well, or they can come back and do even better than they did last year. But I think you can never count out the Rays, because no matter what, whenever you do, they find a way to still be right there in the hunt.
The Rays have given up too much. They lost Wander Franco. He's going to be out for this. He might never play again in baseball.
He's never touching a baseball again.
I'm just saying. The
only ball he's going to touch again is going to be.
I'm just saying. You look at their pitching staff. They have They have one really fantastic pitcher who got hurt last year in the second half of the season. I thought he was winning the Cy Young last year.
We do this every year with almost every year with the Rays, where we look at them, think they're bad, think they're not going to do anything, and then they're right there competing.
That's fine. I think this is a different year. I think this is a different year of baseball. I think a lot of people.
When that happens, I'll believe it. Right. But I've been fooled too many times into thinking the Rays are done, and then they're not done.
I didn't say they're done. I just don't think they're as good as everybody thinks they're going to be this year. I never said they were done. I just don't think they're as good as they've been over the last couple of years.
I think the AL East has the option to be a boom or bust division. I think it's going to have either 4 very good teams or 1 or 2 very good teams, and then other teams are just mediocre.
Every single team will be over 500 by the end of the season.
I think the Red Sox could end up not being over 500.
Oh, I think they're 500. They're a 500 team.
I think the Blue Jays could definitely end up being not as good as people thought they would be.
This is the best division in baseball. It's been that, and it'll always be that. I mean,
I think it can be. I also think it very well could be at the end of the year have a couple teams that did not perform nearly as well as people thought they would. That's all I'm saying.
So it's interesting. The Mets are 0-3. There's really nothing to say so far with the Mets. They can't hit. All right, they just can't hit, and their pitching staff is putrid. It's awful. It's an awful pitching staff, and losing Senga for a month is killing them. It's going to kill them, and we'll see what Senga is in his sophomore year. I've said this. I thought Senga was going to be their best pitcher last year before the season started. I told Josh that. And then I said, well, I want to see what he is his second year, because those Japanese pitchers, after teams get the chance to see them, they're not the same pitchers.
No.
So I'm interested to see. Look at what Yamamoto has done so far. Yamamoto's his ERA right now in spring training and his one game that he's pitched is over 10. Yeah. It's horrible. Okay, so
I think he'll figure it out though. I
don't think he's that good.
That's purely a gut feeling. I have nothing to back it up. It's just a gut feeling. I will fully admit I have no proof to sit here and say that he will end up being a good MLB pitcher. It's just my gut feeling that I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have problems all season long. I do. And I think that if you look at where the Mets are as a team, they're looking towards next year. They're going to make a big move for Juan Soto. I'm going to tell you this right now. They wait until the offseason for Pete Alonso. They're going to lose him. And if the Yankees lose Juan Soto, I'm telling you, my thought is the Yankees are going to swoop right in and take Pete Alonso.
I think that the Mets are going to miss out on both Soto and Alonso. I think they're going to be going for Juan Soto. Mm-hmm. He's going to stay with the Yankees, and in the process, Pete Alonso will leave.
It's interesting. I don't see the Yankees giving Juan Soto $600 million. I see the Mets doing that. That's the thing.
But here's the thing: if the Yankees are a very, very, very good team, which they will be, and the Mets are absolutely terrible, if the two offers are in the same ballpark, I don't see Juan Soto going to the Mets to go there and be bad every year.
It's not just the Yankees and the Mets. Toronto's going to make a move for him.
Oh, yeah. Every single team in the major leagues, except the Nationals, will give him a call. There is zero chance the Nationals give him a call again.
Well, the owner doesn't want to pay.
They don't want to pay anybody because they were trying to sell the team, then they stopped trying to sell the team. Now they just don't want to pay anybody.
Well, I like the Nationals. They have a lot of good prospects.
Oh, they definitely, as of right this moment, won the Soto trade just by.
Well, we'll see. I don't know about that. Juan Soto's been pretty damn good.
Well, no. Well, compared with what Well,
let's see what these guys are going to turn out. We don't know if they won because these guys, we don't know what they're going to turn out to be. We know what Juan Soto is. We know what Juan Soto is. Juan Soto's going to be up for an MVP this year. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money. And if he shows his defense to be better than it was the last 2 years, which he's showing as a Yankee, I mean, he's going to make a lot of money.
Well, he has the benefit of being in that shallow right field where it's a shorter throw to home plate. Mm-hmm. So he could be the same. You just have a shorter throw to make, you're fine.
I mean, it's beneficial for him to be a Yankee. We'll see what happens. We'll get into that as the season starts to, when we see 25, 30 games into the season. I think the Yankees, they're going to start off really, really strong. I could see the Yankees being like 9-2, 9-3 in their next 12 games. I think that's, and I'm going to tell you this right now. And I listen to all these takes of people saying the Yankees they'll be a wild card team. The fact that nobody has the Yankees winning that division when the Yankees, even with Garrett Cole, even in that pitching, everybody was still taking Baltimore. The Yankees lineup is better than Baltimore's. It's way better than Baltimore's. The middle of that lineup is deadly. And Volpe's starting to see the ball even better than he did his rookie season. The guy could steal. He hits for power. I mean, and he won a Gold Glove. This lineup could be as good of lineup the Yankees have had in a very, very long time. So I think the Yankees are going to score 5. And what are the Yankees averaging right now? Over 5 runs a game. What did I say the Yankees are going to average a game this season? Between 5 and 6 runs a game. So I think that's what the Yankees are going to be doing. And if they're scoring 5 to 6 runs a game, that gives them a chance to win every single game.
I think that the right now, I look at the NL East. Braves are definitely winning that division. I don't see any other ways that they don't.
Not necessarily. I like Philadelphia.
I do too, but I think they'll be competing. But I think that the Braves are just that much better. I think that the Phillies will end up comfortably getting the first wild card. Then it'll be Marlins and Mets and Nationals. I think the Nationals are not going to compete again. The only hope is that after June, when they call up James Wood, he has a very good year. Maybe they call up Dylan Cruz at some point. But I don't see that being enough. The offense is putrid. Their pitching is not good. There's nothing positive to say about the team right now, except for a couple of prospects that are in the lineup doing pretty decent. Trey Lipscomb, he's doing well so far to start the year. CJ Abrams is doing okay. It's dark times in DC.
We'll see what happens. Anything's possible. Baseball is a very weird sport.
That's for sure.
It's a very weird sport. And again, Houston is 0-4 right now. I don't think they're as bad as what they've looked. Now, they have a new manager. They have a new way. Their lineup is still good. They're still a good roster. They have a good pitching staff. I think Houston has a very good chance of winning that division. But I'm going to tell you right now, Texas could repeat. I could see them doing it. They're very good. Their lineup is as good as it was last year or even better. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Detroit looks really good. They have a bunch of good young players. I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit wins that division this year, too. So, very interesting. But, Lyle, we got a full hour in. So,
yes, we did.
I want to give a shout out to you. I know you've been tired. You've been trying to get off being sick. How are you doing with all the stuff that you're going through right now?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm dealing with.
You're frozen. I'm frozen.
Yes. I'm dealing with a little bit of sleep apnea and all that other stuff. So I just did a sleep study. So I'll find out, I already know I have sleep apnea. So I'm just trying to get my stuff together. So, everything that I've done, even when I do a radio show, I don't even know how I have the energy to get through a 3-4 hour show.
I feel that.
It's unbelievable. People are amazed how I can go through a 4-hour show and have all the energy I have. I don't know how I do it. I really don't. So, but Lyle, as always, thank you. And the shout out to all the fans. Keep following us. Keep tuning into us next week. Do we have any guests line up? Yes? No?
No.
All right. So looking forward to see off season's coming around the corner. I would start reaching out to the Islanders and stuff like that. Reaching out to their publicists and stuff like that. You could probably get some of those lower grade guys, the Oliver Wallstroms, the Rileys. You can get these guys on the show. You just got to Why don't you reach out to Thomas Hickey? He would come on the show.
I don't know if he can, because he also works at NHL Network. I can try and find out. I don't. First off, I don't know how to get in touch with him. I've looked into it, but I can look into that stuff.
Well, right now, I think you could get credentials with the NHL. So I think that if you applied for credentials for the NHL, you could get it. And then you could get all the information to reach out to the Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, anybody that you want to reach out to, that you can get some of these guys, their PR guys and stuff like that. So you should look into it.
Okay.
All right, boys, or boy, I will reach out. Obviously off air, but thank you for being a big supporter to what we do here and Cross Island Podcast. A shout out to all the fans. Keep tuning in. We'll be back next Monday on time, 7:00. Hopefully, Lyle will be up for that. But I guess good night. Do you have anything to say before we go, Lyle?
I do not. We will definitely be back next week. Stay tuned for more guest appearances and more information on everything, and make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cross Island SN for all updates.
All right. Well, talk to you guys next week. Good night, everybody.